He thought he was just buying a stranger a coffee. She was quietly deciding whether life was even worth continuing anymore. The morning rush at the downtown cafe was relentless. Cups clattered, steam hissed, phones buzzed, and impatient feet shuffled against the tiled floor. Among the suits and hurried professionals stood Daniel Reyes, a single father with shadows under his eyes and a hand tightly holding his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Daniel hadn't slept much. Lily had cried herself to sleep the night before, asking again when her mom was coming back. Daniel had no answer left to give. All he had was routine. Get up, get Lily ready, walk her to school, then head to his second job. He counted the bills in his hand. Enough for one coffee. No pastry. No extras. Just caffeine to survive the day. Ahead of him in line stood a woman who didn't belong to the chaos. She was calm, composed, dressed in a perfectly fitted coat. Her hair was neat, her posture confident, but her eyes told a different story. They were tired. Not sleepy tired. Life tired. She ordered a simple black coffee. When the cashier said, "Your card was declined," the cafe seemed to go quiet just for a second. The woman blinked. Tried again. Declined. A faint flush crept up her neck. She nodded politely, murmured an apology, and reached for her phone, clearly trying to hide the moment. Daniel saw it all. He didn't know her name. Didn't know her story. But he recognized that look. It was the same look he saw in the mirror every morning. Without thinking, he stepped forward. "I'll pay," he said. The woman turned, surprised. "Oh, no, you don't have to. It's okay," Daniel said gently. "Really?" Lily looked up at him. "Daddy." He smiled down at her. "It's okay, sweetheart." The woman hesitated, then nodded. "Thank you. I'll pay you back." "No need," Daniel replied. She took the cup with both hands, like it weighed more than it should. "I'm Claire," she said softly. "Daniel," he replied. They shared a brief smile. Nothing dramatic. Just human. Claire stepped aside, took one sip of the coffee, and her hands trembled. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. Not because she couldn't afford it, but because she didn't feel like she deserved to. Daniel and Lily sat at a small table near the window. Rain streaked down the glass. Lily swung her legs and hummed quietly. Claire lingered nearby, pretending to check her phone, but really she was watching them. Watching how Daniel helped Lily with the lid on her cup. How he wiped her hands with a napkin. How tired he looked, and yet how present he was. Something inside Claire cracked. She walked over. "Can I sit for a moment?" Daniel nodded. "I just wanted to say thank you again," she said. "You didn't have to do that." Daniel shrugged. "Sometimes people just need help." Claire swallowed. "You have no idea how much that meant today." Daniel smiled politely, unaware that the woman sitting across from him was the CEO of one of the largest tech companies in the country. Unaware that her card hadn't declined because she was broke, but because she had frozen every account that morning. Because she had planned to disappear. By the time Daniel realized who she really was, she had already made a decision that would change his daughter's future forever. Claire Bennett had built an empire by the age of 42. Magazines called her fearless. Employees called her brilliant. Investors called her unstoppable. But no one knew about the nights she sat alone in her penthouse, staring at city lights, wondering how success could feel so empty. Her husband had left 5 years earlier. Her best friend died suddenly the year before. Her company was being sued by the very people she trusted most. That morning, she had woken up exhausted beyond repair. She canceled her cards, cleared her desk, left her phone behind. The cafe was supposed to be her last stop. Then a stranger paid for her coffee, and sat with his daughter like the world hadn't crushed him yet. Claire didn't leave. Instead, she followed Daniel outside. "Daniel," she called out. "Would you like to have lunch sometime? Just to talk." He hesitated. Life didn't leave room for lunch invitations. But something in her voice felt sincere. "Okay," he said. "Sure." That lunch turned into a conversation. Then another. Claire learned about Lily's asthma. About the medical bills. About Daniel losing his wife to cancer. About working 2 jobs and still falling behind. Daniel learned about corporate pressure. Loneliness. About how being admired doesn't mean being loved. Weeks passed. One day, Daniel was called into a small office downtown. He sat across from Claire, now dressed in a sharp suit, her confidence restored. "I didn't tell you who I was," she said. He laughed nervously. I googled you last night. She smiled. Good. Then she slid a folder across the table. Inside was a job offer. A real one. With benefits. Flexible hours. Health insurance that covered Lily's treatment. Daniel's hands shook. Why are you doing this? Claire's eyes filled with tears. Because you saved my life, with a cup of coffee. Daniel tried to refuse. Claire shook her head. This isn't charity. This is gratitude. Months later, Lily stood on a stage at school, breathing easily, smiling brightly. Daniel watched from the crowd. Claire sat beside him. No headlines reported what really saved a CEO's life. No article mentioned a single dad with $5 in his pocket. But sometimes, the smallest kindness becomes the loudest miracle.